How you guys doing? It's Coach Elijah back with another video. Today we sit down with Dietitian Jamie Miller. If there was something she didn't answer, please reach out to her. She's always available for my questions, so I'm sure she'll be available for yours. Thank you for watching the video. Arizona Athletics, athleticsaz.com. Enjoy.
Hi, I'm Jamie Miller and I'm a dietitian, and I love to help kids, families, adults get to the healthiest version of them. I have my own nutrition consulting business called FreshTakeHealth, where I get to do one-on-ones with individuals. I get to do fun things like grocery store tours, help with meal plans, anything that individuals need to really help them reach the healthiest version of them. So I'm excited to kind of get to share knowledge so that you and your family can feel your very best. So kids are just the same as adults. To be able to perform our best, we have to feel our best and we have to feed our bodies the best. So if your child is involved in lots of sports, we have to think about their body like their most important piece of equipment. So if we are feeding our bodies well with balanced meals, we can make sure your child has a lot of endurance for long practices. We can make sure their muscles are recovering good, make sure they don't get stress fractures or broken bones if they're having enough calcium and things like that. So one of the most interesting changes I see in people is the fact that we actually start to crave healthy food after a while. And so really what's happening is our body's starting to associate what it feels to eat healthy and it just feeling good. So our body starts to crave what is going to make it feel the best. And so it's really awesome to get to see people's taste buds change and also people just really enjoy eating healthy. And I think another really cool and notable change I see in people is the change in their satisfaction and their hunger. So a lot of the times we go from super starving to super full, back and forth, if we're not eating correctly. But our main aim is for you just to feel that stability in energy and also satiety. So I think a really big notable change is just consistency of feeling satisfied. I am all about eating what we love. It's just sometimes about making it a little bit healthier, having a little healthy spin on it. So let's say, for example, your family loves pizza. Maybe you can make a really healthy pizza quickly at home. You can just take a whole grain pita, top it with marinara sauce, some part skim mozzarella, maybe some veggies, and ham or chicken for protein, and you have a pretty healthy pizza. Or maybe you love mac and cheese and your kid wants mac and cheese. Maybe the way that you kind of compromise is include some chicken and broccoli inside that. So you can kind of mix it all together. Make sure you're getting in that thing you love, but you're also including some really good nutrients with it. And so really, in the end, whatever you really want, you can find a way to have it, but just make sure you're pairing it with other more nutrient-rich things so you can satisfy that craving, but also satisfy your hunger. The serving sizes really depend on a lot of different variables. It depends on the gender of your child, the age, if they're in puberty, if they're in a growth spurt, if they're really active or not. There's a lot of different things that kind of gauge that. But one thing I like to think about when it comes to portions is having a good kind of gauge about what those portions should be. So I like to use my hands. So I like to think about looking at my palm and saying, I want the amount of protein that I have in a meal to be the size of my palm. Then the other hand would be the carbohydrate portion, and then my fingers are the fruits and vegetables, and then one thumb is for the amount of fat, so that'd be peanut butter, whatever that is, dressing, that kind of thing. So if I hold my hands up, I can see what I want my plate to look like. And that makes a lot of sense because a 6-foot teenage boy would be needing a lot more protein than a 7th grade girl, right? So that could really help guide you and be able to determine the correct portions for your kids. But if we have a certain time that's coming up, like our kids are going to be in testing in school, or there's a really big game or something like that, we do want to actually just focus more on the serving sizes to be more important, just because we want to make sure those are correct so we have really good mental focus and energy and that kind of thing. So that really has to do with blood sugar regulation. So let's make sure that those portions of fiber and protein and healthy fats are in the correct portions so that we can make sure our kid does feel fueled and ready to go for the big event in their life. So unfortunately these days, allergies are really common, but I would really recommend, my one piece of advice is to work with a dietitian, because if you're taking something out of your child's diet, we have to make sure we're adding other things back in so we make sure we get all the nutrients that one food item that you're taking out had. So I would just make sure you're working with a dietitian such as myself to be able to kind of guide that process. And I also love to work with families as they're kind of navigating this new allergy to make sure that your kids still feel excited about food. sometimes it feels a little limiting to have to take away dairy or nuts or gluten or whatever that is that your kid is having to limit. But we can make sure we're adding things back in by finding those different snack ideas and new food products so that they still stay excited about their food. So it takes a little bit more searching, but that's hopefully where I can come in and help. So if we are making good healthy changes, we're doing it the correct way, any change we see should only be an improvement. So we should really have some regular and healthy digestive tracts. We should feel consistency of energy, and we should feel satisfied. If we are making healthy changes, but maybe even we are finding ourselves always hungry, then we're not doing it right. We need to feel satisfied and energized by our food choices. So there really isn't any food that would make you go from sad to happy instantly, but food really does have a really big effect on our mood because of the way that different foods affect our blood sugar. If we have simple carbs and lots of sugar, we will feel our energy go up. We might have a big burst of energy, but then what goes up must come down. So we're going to have that energy slump when our blood sugar drops. So that's where we might see us or our kids have irritability, maybe moodiness, maybe they get hungry really often and really quickly, and that's just really that after effect of the blood sugar dropping. So we want to make sure that we just have good moods because we have stable blood sugars, and that's really going to have to do with consistency of good protein, good fiber, and good healthy fats. So if your child's diet is absolutely perfect, then there's absolutely no multivitamin that's needed. But if you feel like your kid's diet is maybe a little subpar, we can add multivitamin just to be able to fill in those gaps for the nutrients that they are missing in their diet. So there's lots of good brands out there. One thing I would look at is to make sure that some of the different vitamins in that multivitamin doesn't exceed 100%. So vitamin A, E, and K, they're fat-soluble vitamins. So we can kind of overdose on those if we have too much of them. So we want to make sure we don't go over 100% of their daily needs. But there's lots of good brands, like I said. But the one thing we want to make sure that a tablet does not have is those unneeded ingredients that aren't even vitamins. So things like maybe artificial colorings, like red dye number 40, or artificial flavors, or sucralose, aspartame, carrageenans, those kind of fillers that maybe aren't the best for our health. I would love to come to the grocery store with you and your family. I think it's probably one of my favorite things to do with families because it's interactive enough for the kids, so they stay really engaged. But the whole family can really benefit because we can find those products that can make sure that meal prep is easy, that that the dinners are quick, and then also dinners are delicious and nutritious. So we can just go through the store together and find those products that really work well for you and your family, and it can really make sure everyone stays excited about their food. I think the main reason people don't stick with being healthy is that they just settle for bland chicken and broccoli, and that's not going to happen for long until people get bored. So we can make sure your food is delicious and easy to prepare and also really nutritious. And if you're interested in that, you can always contact me and we can set up a time to go to the grocery store, or we can just work together to get a good grocery list.
I got a story to tell, you know that I cherish this. Hope it ain't too many feelings involved.